Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? And so many of us are like that because we feel like, well, maybe it's too much. Maybe I've shared too much. Maybe it's too heavy. Maybe people won't get it. But I'll tell you this, uh, and I've said this before, I've never met anyone that had a worse childhood than me. And it's not a fucking competition. But what I will say is when I got in the depths of sharing the massive blackness of the darkness of those past experiences, the things that I'll never share on this show, that changed everything for me because it was like I didn't have to carry that weight anymore. I've used this reference before, but imagine for a moment if I gave you a backpack and that backpack was full of bricks and you had to carry that backpack with you everywhere that you went because you were unwilling to let go. And it just weighs on you and weighs on you and brings you down. It keeps you stuck. You can't go forward. There's no momentum. That's how I think about the traumatic experiences of our past when we don't share them. And again, I really want to reiterate this. It's about sharing it in the right capacity, right? Don't dump your fucking life on social media because it's not going to help, because you're not going to be able to get the other side of it where you can make causation and correlation about the events, where you can start to learn the rhyme and reason and the how and why you have the behavioral patterns that you have and so on, and more so how you get out of them, right? One of the things when people come into coaching with me, we talk about reframing behaviors and ideations and understandings and all of those things. And so as you get into this, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what is it that you have been holding on to that you need to step into a safe environment to expose so that the darkness of it no longer has to encapsulate you in a way that keeps you from being able to move forward. That's the trick to this. And so as I'm like in New York, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm looking at, again, the sights, the sounds of people, the speed of it. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And it hit me. I was like, there's no way on planet Earth that I would be able to have helped thousands of people to have this amazing podcast, to written these books, to speak on these stages, if I never would have shared my truth, if I never would have done the things that I'm talking about being a proponent of right now, because I was stuck so badly. I cannot explain it. Like every day was misery. It was horror. Here's what's really funny. I had to submit some documentation to the IRS from a tax return from 2011. And I looked at that, and so that's 11 years ago, right? And so I'm like 24, and I had cleared 6 figures. And I remember, like, as I'm looking at that, I was like, oh my God, my life is so much different now because of the truth that I've shared than it was in 2011. Right at the like this, what hit me was this was the beginning. Like this was the moment that everything was about to change right there in that year, 2010, 11, 12. It was that section of years that created the pathway for me to come to where I am. Because like looking at that, what I used to do with that money was things that destroyed my life. That's intense, but it's true. Every penny that I spent was one penny destroying my life. And today it's very much the opposite. It's investing in myself. It's the therapy. It's the coaching. It's the group. It's the whole nine. You guys know this because I've told you before. And so looking at the difference a decade can make is unbelievable. People get so lost in what they can do over the course of a long enough time frame that they don't have any willingness to show up. And so I want to encourage you to show up, to do the thing, to let your truth be known, to set yourself free, because in a decade, you could be having a completely different story. And I want that for you. And I want that for the Unbroken Nation. I want that for everybody, because then we can move further and closer to my mission and my goal of ending generational trauma in my lifetime.